Good evening. Welcome to the Southbridge School Committee meeting of Tuesday, September 10th, 2019. There's no one to call the roll tonight, so I will call the roll. Mr. Bishop?
Present.
Mr. Thomo?
Present.
Ms. Shea? Present. Mr. Murch?
Present.
Mr. Montigny?
Present.
Mr. Montigny is our new member tonight. We welcome him.
Thank you.
Let's pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is anyone here to speak to the school committee tonight? Again, is anyone here tonight to speak to the school committee? Hearing nothing, I will move to the next item. Discussion of minutes of the August 13, 2019 minutes. Anyone have any questions? Any changes? Okay. New business, the receiver's announcements.
Thank you. Update for families. School opened on August 26th. It was a smooth opening this year. I think things went much stronger than last year. I would ask folks to take a look at the district website, which is www.southbridgepublic.org. We have been working to update that site so that the information is more current, and we'll continue to make sure that we include important documents there. For example, this year we'd ask you to take a look at our student handbooks, which are all new and updated and aligned across the district. We'd ask parents to spend some time reviewing that with their children. You can also find important things like the bus stops locations, our school menus, the school district budget, and other documents will be posted there throughout the year as we try to share information with families. So I ask that you take a second to take a look at the site. Certainly, if there's something that's not updated, please let us know as we continue to go through the many pages. One last thing is our athletic schedules are there as well. Across the district, we remain focused on improving climate and culture. I'm very pleased with the efforts that I saw in our classrooms across the district in our first week of school. Dr. Farrick and I have spent a great deal of time the last 2 weeks in and out of our classrooms and across the schools, and what we see are a lot of adults working hard to teach children their expectations, certainly reinforcing activity when they see kids doing what they need to do. What comes to mind is a really strong practice is what we saw at ERS in the first few days of school, where children were being brought out to a school bus and conduct and expectations around that bus were being taught to children. Again, we're talking 4- and 5-year-old children. Very clear expectations and reinforcing what we need to see done, as well as teaching them how to walk in the hallways and participate in class, and et cetera. These are foundational skills, but it's important that we spend time teaching children and reinforcing what we expect, and we're well underway. The secondary schools are probably our largest culture challenge, probably anywhere across our country, and we have seen a great deal of effort at our middle and high school this year as well. We spent just about the entire first day in and out of that building, and again, we see teachers are working hard to become a team in unison, and again, reinforcing expectations for children across that school, and we have seen some pretty good improvements. It's going to continue to be a primary focus of the year, along with implementing our language arts and mathematics curricula, and obviously work in other content areas. I'd also remind parents, every Wednesday is an early dismissal. We are providing teachers with 1 hour of professional development on a weekly basis. We've had several Wednesdays now, and it's gone very smoothly. Really want to thank the partnership with the YMCA. They have accepted children in the afternoon. We were able to work with our transportation provider and make sure that many of our children are provided with transportation to the Y's after-school program, and that appears to be going quite well. It's working with partners like that that's essential for us to be able to provide good services for our families. Certainly, kids in our elementary schools and their families may have heard that we are now using the Wonders Literacy Series. Teachers have received professional development. It's an ongoing focus of their training this year. So kids have new materials, new interesting literature to read, and teachers have hit the ground running in the first few weeks. Again, classrooms that we've been in, we've seen people engaged in use of those materials. And now there's also aligned online content, so teachers are able to mix the use of the written text with video and other online content sources to kind of enliven literacy instruction. So that's going very well. And the dual language program, which is now expanded to grade 3, is also using the Wonders series. However, they have a Spanish language version. The alignment has been very helpful for our teachers, and we're very pleased with the progress that we've made as we've transitioned into grade 3 for our dual language program. We saw some of the strongest instruction so far in those classes, and I think it's partly to do with the aligned curricula. So very proud of that. We've hit the ground running with those programs. Finally, open house season is on us. Actually, this evening, open house has occurred at ERS and at the high school, but we also have it on Wednesday night at Charlton Street School. That's from 5 to 7. We have it at West Street, also on Wednesday from 4 to 6. And we have it at the middle school on Thursday, the 12th, from 5 to 6:30. And Southbridge Academy is holding open house also on Thursday from 3 to 4:30. So I encourage families to make sure you participate in those open houses. One final note, we had an open house for grade 6 before school started and saw over 80 families attend. So 80 folks, families and children attended that open house at 6th grade at the middle school this year. We held it at the beginning of school because we were not able to do the Step Up open house in the spring, and this seemed to have worked out quite well. So very pleased that that many families attended that event. With that, I conclude my comments. Thank you very much.
There are no chairman's announcements tonight. The next agenda item is selection of MASC conference delegates. The first one is the election of the voting delegate. The only candidate, as far as I know, we have is Jackie Ryan. Could I entertain a motion to?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The election of the alternate delegate, as far as I know, the only candidate is Andrew Murch. It will be his first time. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Second. All in favor? Members Forum. We'll start with Mr. Montagne. Do you have any news for?
Sure. First of all, I just wanted to thank everybody for their support in appointing me a couple weeks ago. It's an honor. I did a brief introduction the other night, but just to be clear, I've worked for the school system before over a number of years and for the town. I grew up in Southbridge. I went to school here. And I've been a big opposition of the district going to level 5 ever since it's lowering to level 4 back about 15 years ago. But that does not mean that I have any opposition towards any certain person anywhere involved in this whole thing. It's just I don't believe in state takeovers and receivership so much. They don't really have a positive success rate. That being said, you know, I understand receivership to be a situation where a superintendent now becomes a receiver and has the decision-making ability of the school committee. I feel like that's where it should stop, and that from everything else should be the same. It's just there's no more decision-making on the agenda. I feel like there should be great dialogue, communication, great partnership between the school committee and the front office, and I think there's no reason why that can't continue to happen throughout this year. So I just wanted to say I'm excited to be here for that regard. Through you, didn't you request something last week at the last meeting?
Yes, I did. I requested a summary of the hires for the year and the staffing.
Okay. Did you happen to get that?
I have not received it.
Okay. Thank you. I was going to ask Ms. Ryan, but if you could pass the message along, I was hoping to get some information that the commissioner actually does an annual evaluation on the receiver every year, and I don't believe that that has come across the dais. So if you could look into that, and I believe Dr. Villar or the receiver would prepare a quarterly report to the school committee under receivership, and I was curious about the last one. I'll be honest, I've only made sure I watched the last 2 meetings. And if any of these things came by back in the springtime, I'm sorry about that, but I would love copies. Let's see here. I also saw that you posted, Ms. Shea, something on Focused on Southbridge with a list of administration that I'm sure that you may have gotten an email or something.
I know, I just got that off the website.
Oh, off the website. Okay, well, looking at that list, which I don't have in front of me, but I could forward to anybody afterwards. I'm sure everyone's familiar with the list. On there, there's a lot of positions, especially at the middle high school. Curious about the fact that there's 3 principals. And I'm also curious about the director of operations position is a central office position that is under the purview of the superintendent. So it appears that that is all under the middle high school. So I'm kind of just lost as to what everybody's doing. So I'm hoping that there's job descriptions, salaries, and basically the job description really would clarify what's going on, because, you know, constituents want to know what exactly goes on in these buildings. I appreciate that you said there was a smooth opening earlier, and I'm not familiar if you answer any questions here, but I was first just wondering, and if you touched upon this, I was just hoping to elaborate. Is the Wednesday professional development going well? If you don't take questions, I'm sorry, but that was my first question.
So the members forum is for you to share your opinion about things. It's not a question and answer.
Okay.
But you know, as I said earlier, yeah, Wednesdays are going pretty smooth.
Good, good. I appreciate hearing that. So you said there was a smooth opening, but you also said that there's the secondary school is one of the biggest challenges across the country, which I like that. I like that you said that, because it truly is a challenge. That being said, and if you would like to prepare something that explains this rather than answer it here, I was contacted by numerous people, parents, that the middle school opened without guidance counselors on staff. And I was just curious as to why that happened, because that's not smooth, but it's part of the challenge of the secondary building.
As I say every week, every month, parents, if you have questions or concerns, you should call my office directly.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did say last time that it is important to you that you meet the needs of the family. So I just hope that with the secondary, or rather socio-emotional learning, is actually in the next 5 years is going to be implemented by the state as something that goes into the standards for some, if not all, of the core classes. So within 5 years, everybody, as I'm sure you're aware of, will have to teach to these standards of socio-emotional learning, and not having guidance counselors directly affects that. I think that's it. I'm hoping that we can get some of the information that we've requested from you, Ms. Shea last meeting, some of the things I've looked for this meeting, and I look forward to the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Murch?
Thank you. So I want to welcome you to the school committee, and congratulations for getting appointed. It's good to definitely fill all the seats, and it's good to have a variety of different perspectives and different voices throughout the board. Just from my personal experience, I think the district did really well with the opening of school. My son was excited to go. He was excited for class, and he's excited to get back with all of his friends, so that way he doesn't have to hang out with his parents because we're boring. So I think just from my perspective and talking with the parents that I've had, I think that this year is going to be very promising, but there are still definitely challenges that we need to address and address them firmly and make sure that we can move on to a smooth turnaround and continue the work that is being done. I held community roundtables the last couple of weeks, and I had people attending, but the attendance wasn't exactly where I figured the enthusiasm that I've seen online would be. A lot of people have a lot to say about the school system, both positive and negative, and I just wanted to get people involved and get people engaged with the school system. So to see very few people arrive to it, but within 48 hours see several posts about both positive and negative about the school system, leads to exactly what I ran on and what I'm trying to do in my capacity as a school committee member, is get the community more engaged and get the community involved. Just speaking as a dad, this is my son's education, and I tried every which way I could to be invested in his education and do what I could to make sure he was getting a good education. I decided to run because I thought this was a position where I could make sure that my son was getting a good education, but that was my choice. As parents, we got a responsibility to be engaged with the school system, be it with the administration in the school, teachers on an individual basis, or guidance counselors or any other administrators, or even the receiver. Having that cohesive relationship is what we can do to help ensure that our children get a good education and that they see that an education is important. If you're involved in your child's education and you're involved with the school system, your children will see that. And they will see that education is important not only to you but to others, because parents being involved in the school system, either going to the school and volunteering if there is the need, or even just simply seeing parents go to these events and take pictures, kids see that and it means a lot to them. And just, I walked my son to school for the first time since the end of the election season, and he was extremely happy to just have a conversation on the way there. And it kind of put things in perspective on how little a small moment like that can make a big difference. So I just encourage parents to be involved with your kids, especially within their school, especially with their schoolwork and what school they go to and any events that the school system may have going on. It will shine towards the kids that education is very important. And in a district that is in as much of a need as ours is, it's very important that we help show our kids and help motivate them to give their best effort every day. Because without our students giving their best effort, a turnaround is going to take a very, very long time. And I think as parents, we can influence that and help not necessarily speed up the process, but ensure that the process does run as smooth as it can with the multiple speed bumps that we're going to be going through this. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Mr. Thomo?
All set.
Mr. Bishop?
Thank you, Ms. Shea. Been a long day. A few things. First of all, Dr. Villar makes an excellent point. If anybody has an issue with anything going on in their child's school, the first place really is with the classroom teacher, then and if you're not satisfied there, bump it up to your building principal. And if you're still not happy with the resolution, then you contact the receiver. And if you're still not happy there, we have a podium here once a month, and I would encourage any parent who's not satisfied with the answers they're receiving from the school administration to come here. We don't have a whole lot of clout, except we do have the ears of the community. I mean, I'm not going to sit back and just, we don't have power, but, we have the power of this microphone right here, okay? And to that end, to my colleagues, if you're not receiving the information that you've asked for from the receiver, I certainly encourage you to file to receive that information under the Freedom of Information Act, okay? This receivership is not above the law, okay? It's still maintained, it still comes under the guidance of the Massachusetts general laws. The 4 years we've had the receivership, they haven't really adhered to the laws very well. The procurement laws have been abandoned. Can we forget $116,000 that we paid out without any procurement to an individual in Ohio? I mean, there's an awful lot of laws that have just been ignored, and I get it. Okay, what are we out here in Little Southbridge? We get the big bad commissioner sitting in Malden. And speaking of the commissioner, I mean, we've had 4 years of complete Nothing to say about anything going on here. I think it's high time the commissioner came out and addressed the community, like they did when they took us over, and tell us why, after 4 years, we have not progressed one iota. And we can argue that debate all day long. We can debate that and argue that point all day long. We're going to use the same measuring stick that the DESI used on the town of Southbridge. MCAS scores. We were beat over the head with them. I've disaggregated them time and time again. And I'm hoping that you'll have, I know for a fact that you'll have you have the preliminaries now for the last school year. And you'll have the commissioner will release them probably within the next week or two. I would hope it's at the next meeting that there will be a complete and honest presentation to the community about where we are presently with our MCAS results. Anybody can cherry pick data. I've been watching it for 3 years. As a matter of fact, even before you got here, school committees and superintendents cherry picked what they wanted to present. We need a complete year-by-year analysis of why we are not progressing. We're a $32 million budget, I think, this year. That's astronomical for 2,000 students. Why aren't we getting the job done? So I certainly would like to see the commissioner come out here and explain to the townspeople how they blew all this money and got the results that they got. And I'd also like to say where we're going to go next. How long is this? I hate to use the word ineptness, but certainly when you look at the end result of the money we've spent, where are we? How long are we supposed to sit back idly? I've really bitten my tongue. I've said I'm not going to get in the sandbox. I'm not going to be one of those guys that's going to come here and try to just stir it for the sake of stirring it. I've sat back on this committee for 4 years biting my tongue. Okay, I heard a comment tonight that I'm going to discuss with Dr. Villar afterwards. I'm just unhappy, and I'm not going to sit back. If I have to go to the Globe to highlight these things, I will. I really would like to keep this in-house, but it's time the commissioner put on his big boy pants and came out here to Southbridge, Massachusetts, and told us how they blew $32 million and got the results they got. I mean, it's time. My blood pressure's up. That's it for tonight. Thank you.
Ms. Shea, I forgot to thank somebody. I'm sorry. First night, forgot. It's not about me. It's about when you mentioned the smooth opening. Only reason everything is so smooth, you've got to hand it to the secretaries of all the unsung heroes of all these buildings, central office included with the chief of staff. Without these people, there would be no organization to the beginning of the school year or every day. And I just wanted to mention, pass on my condolences, and everybody should remember this week, former town council chair Kathy Nicola passed away, and she cared about these schools just as much as anybody else up here, and her name is on the plaque in the doorway as one of the people that was really an integral piece to getting the brand new high school built that our children have for this community. So please keep her in your thoughts and her family. Thank you. Sorry about forgetting that.
I'm going to do Ms. Shea's announcements. These are not the chairman's announcements, these are mine. Chairman Ryan and I met with the receiver. We talked particularly about parent involvement in the school district. We need to go back to having building council meetings. We need to go back to having parents in the school. Our social and emotional learning program called PBIS has a parent component. Dr. Villar promised us that as soon as he felt the district was stronger, he would encourage these to be going on. Next year, I'm going to push for building council meetings. They're supposed to start 14 days after school, and I promise you I will be here talking about them.
So I'd like to end by thanking everyone for their comments and just reminding folks why we're here. We're not here for political agendas. We're not here to rehash the past. We're not here to argue about whether or not receivership is the solution, because it is what we have. I took this job because I believe in Southbridge and the children that go to school here in Southbridge. They deserve a quality education. I have never once said this was going to be easy. I've never once said this would be done in a year or two. I have stated this is a long haul. I've stated we have to be positive and we have to work for our children. So the members at this school committee can either work with me or they can work against me. But we have a job to do, which is to help the children of this town. I'm not particularly interested in any of the politics. I don't really care, and that's part of the strength of receivership, because I don't have to care. I don't work for the school committee. I work for the children of Southbridge. I'll make decisions that are good for the children in Southbridge, and I'm going to work as hard as I can to improve our schools. I believe we have a little bit of momentum, but we have a long, long way to go. So we need to be a productive team and need to cut the discourse. So I thank everyone for their comments. I certainly will take it all under advisement as they consider our next steps. So I wish everyone a very good evening, and thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.